On this episode, we interview Dr. Justin Brown, who has exploded from one clinic to multiple clinics, coaching business, real estate empire. And he dives into how he's using ChatGPT right now, particularly what I found interesting around his financial statements to operate and give him analysis on a high level, something you'd pay a CFO hundreds of thousands of dollars. Learn how to plug in your P&L and extract data out of these AI systems to learn more about your business, to integrate with your operating systems like Traction. Great podcast and a little different spin on how chiropractors can use AI. All right, welcome everybody to the UAC Best Practices Podcast. I'm Dr. Alan Miner here with my co-host, Dr. Brian Capra. And today our guest is one of our favorite members in UAC, Dr. Justin Brown. I had the blessing of meeting Justin when we were both on the come up, and literally just scratching the surface of trying to figure this stuff out. So it's fun to get to share the room and just mastermind and hang out, and as our families have grown and the blessing of that. So with all that said, Brian, I'll kick it over to you.
All right, thanks, Doc. Justin, great to see you, man. Also, some fun tidbits about Justin. He's a fellow Floridian, CrossFit champion of the world, so makes us all look bad at the pool. But also just a really nice, I've got to spend time in his practice, of course, and the phenomenal chiro, upper cervical practice, crazy volume. So just, tremendous amount of respect for what you've built over the years and just keeps getting better. The new office is amazing, new building. But yeah, so this is about best practices. We want to give a little nugget, something that you've learned over the years that, little tidbit, or maybe even more recently, something that you've seen that's had an impact on your practice. Like, wow, since you have all of that experience.
Yeah, guys, thanks for giving me a chance to share. So I'm going to speak right into what I'm doing right now, kind of recency bias in full effect, which is, how are we leveraging AI right now? And a lot of people are talking about AI. Obviously, everybody's AI is taking over the world, but practically, like, how as a chiropractor are you maximizing AI? And what I found is that, what we need to be looking at is use cases. What are the use cases for AI? And what I would actually ask you is, what aren't the use cases for AI? So, what did you do today? Well, you probably manage people, right? So there was some level of management today. There was some level of patient care that happened today. There's some level of evaluating statistical data that happened today. We're in the merger and acquisition model. So, we're in due diligence and we're evaluating statistical data. We're evaluating levers that are some opportunities that maybe aren't being fully optimized and maximized. We're looking at what are liabilities. So literally, like, with the ability to upload documents, with us, creating operating agreements, provider agreements, with us creating, all of these really critical documents, and in reviewing and analyzing, even from a consulting standpoint, I mean, you're literally leveraging all of the information that's ever been created for all of time, and you can do it at the click of a button. So we're using this all day, every day. So that's currently how we're using AI. And the quality of the outputs really comes from the quality of the input, meaning how well are you prompting the machine? How are you leveraging it? And then, do you know how to leverage it? I've used it in my real estate. I've created amortization schedules. I've negotiated leases. I've actually asked it, is this a fair, agreement from the other person's perspective? So I'm literally using it to find out what are the things that they're going to come back at me with. Like, what are they going to come back at me with? What are the questions based on the information I'm sharing with them? What are the most likely 5 questions they're going to have for me? So I go into meetings already knowing what the questions are they're going to be fired back at me. which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And then what would be the best optimal responses if you are a savvy real estate tycoon that has a high level of character, that wants to provide fair and just agreements that create long-lasting relationships that are mutually beneficial? How would you best respond to these? And then it kicks out and it's like, okay, so like that. So that's the way I'm using this across, our 5 businesses. And, you could literally uploading 86-page operating agreement. These are the 8 questions that I have for my attorney. That could have gone a back and forth another 5 times, which, if you guys know, like, attorney math, that's 10 grand. that's 10 grand. And I got that information in a matter of seconds, and I shoot that in an email, and I expect, that we maybe took that back and forth down to maybe 2 or 3 from 5. So
I got 2 questions for you.
It saves massive money. It saves massive time. It creates efficiency. And I just talked into a couple of them, but I mean, I could dive into all those scenarios I talked about, which are literally just things that happen today.
Yeah. I got 2 questions. Number 1, for your chiro practicing, what AI tool do you use the most? Number 2, is that your real hair or is it AI generated?
This actually isn't me at all. This is my avatar.
Is that really you? Or are you an AI? Okay, good.
Yeah.
So you got
no, like, even like looking at 24, like, how many of us like uploaded your P&L? Upload your P&L into chat.
So you use ChatGPT pretty much exclusively, or do you have some other tools you use on a regular?
There's AI that's baked into Canva. There's AI baked into, we use Descript for some of our video editing. We, even on our social, like, a lot of scripts that we create, we're using, and massaging AI, and of course, always putting our personal touches on it. But I put so many prompts into AI that AI knows me better than I know me, right? AI knows if, like, I'm on or I'm off, right? So it gets to a point where it just really knows who you are, and it knows your business. And if you haven't done this yet, you're like, hey, AI, you're the world's foremost chiropractic consultant that's, trying to change the world through, chiropractic. What are the 20 most pertinent questions to ask me to best understand my business, my vision, the team we want to build, and how we want to, like, dominate the Dallas market? Boom. Like, it's going to kick you out some really powerful questions. And then if you think the questions are garbage, go, I don't think you gave your best effort. Critique your last response and give me a higher quality response that I would expect as a world-class chiropractor. And it'll critique itself and kick you out better. So there's no end to this, is what I'm saying. And I know it sounds crazy, the stuff I'm saying. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe you guys say, like, well, that's table stakes. Everybody knows this stuff. But I shared this with a couple high-level chiropractors this week, and they were like, holy crap, like, they were like kind of blown away by the level that we're using.
I think one of the points you're hitting on that people don't realize with AI is that you can have a conversation.
Full on.
Give it, it's like you said, especially with something like, that's not good enough. Give me something better. Like, it actually and who knows what it means to understand that kind of thing, but it will take another stab at it.
It'll take another stab at it. Yeah. And I mean, again, I think, sometimes people will do, like, really kind of elementary type prompting, and they get really elementary type responses, and then they kind of throw in the towel on it and go, it's not really that good. Well,
right.
I think if you really put the time in, and for whatever reason, guys, I free write into my prompts. So I do extensive prompts. I don't do, like, 1-sentence prompts typically, or if I do, I get really garbage responses. I do really in-depth prompts. And I feel, whatever reason, if I'm having to try to, like, write that perfect email, if I put it in the prompt, I don't feel like it needs to be perfect. I just free write, and I get my emotion. I get the, all those things that I want to have enveloped inside of that email. And then it's going to provide something really of quality. And then, of course, people say, well, it doesn't have a human element to it. Well, it really can. It really can have a human element to it. But at the same time, you don't want it to be too polished where it seems slick.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
we've all seen those things where you're like, that's clearly not a person that did that. So
Well, I know some people that are in my company that are responding to messages and emails now. I'm like, you're not writing that because that's
you're not
not how
right.
you write. That's
Yeah,
way
that's not how
better.
you're right.
You know?
All of a
Ju-
sudden, like everybody became these like great copywriters, right?
Dr. Justin, can you, for best practice, you touched on something. I want you to go just a touch further. A clinic owner is listening right now. They can go into their QuickBooks or talk to their bookkeeper or their accountant and ask for their profit and loss statement. What would you, so you own a clinic, you want to use AI, what would, give an example, they upload that to AI, what would
Yeah.
they ask? How could they use this right
Yeah.
now to learn something about their business using their P&L?
Yes.
What would you ask?
Yeah, you are a world-class expert CFO. Please evaluate my P&L comparing 2023 to 2024. Look for any abnormal imbalances, whether it is on an expense side or on an income side. Provide a thorough evaluation for opportunities for us to maximize profits in the upcoming 12 months. Create specific targets on a percentage basis for us to improve our performance in Q1 through Q4 of 24. Please create key benchmarks. Please create the most pertinent KPIs relative to those benchmarks, and also give us a list of specific tasks in order to increase the likelihood of us to actually achieve the specific benchmarks that you've created.
And then just for the rookies listening, you literally, let's say Chat GPT,
Sure.
you click and drag your P&L right into that prompt section where you're
It's
typing.
an attachment. You literally, it's an attachment.
Yep.
You click the attachment, you would bring it in, you would pull it in, and you're going to get some really interesting insights. And then you could literally take that and you could say, like, create an action plan around this. You know, here's our vision. This is, you know, you could literally upload a vision story if you have a vision story created. If you follow traction and you have a vision traction organizer, you could literally attach your VTO. You could say, you know, I'm trying to inspire. I have my quarterly coming up. I want to inspire and cast this vision so that everybody has a very clear picture of where we're going. You know, please, you know, incorporate our P&L into our VTO so that everybody has a clear, actionable, you know, here's our key players. What are the KPIs our key players need? What are the scorecards? I mean, again, there's just so many layers you could go on this.
Have you ever plugged your KPI metrics in yet?
Yes.
That was one you just stimulated for me. Is we've got all of our dashboards. We've never played with that side of it and comparing and analyzing between doctors and clinics. That's
I've used it for Genesis many, many ways, but one thing that you can use locally in your practice is I did a competitor analysis with it. I just asked it to tell me of my competition, what's their, in long format, like you're saying, but what's their pros and cons, and it boom, like in 1 second. But it can do that for your market, your chiropractic market. What are the other practices doing in this area? What are some advantages that they have that I don't have, and vice versa? What are advantages I have over them? And if you have a conversation long enough or in detail enough, like you said, it'll give you amazing information.
Amazing information. Yeah. And then, you know, obviously it's what you do with the information that matters.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you know, you've got, you know, basically the foremost consultant at your fingertips. So things that, you know, may require, you know, a ton of consulting or know-how, you know, you really, you know, you can leverage it and get some really interesting insights. And even just learn. I mean, the rate of accelerated learning is just, it's incredible. You know, you can learn about things that you may not understand, right? Like what, you know, how do you calculate, like we calculated the IRR for, you know, a potential target so that he could fully understand by coming on board with Serve Bigger Collective what his IRR is over the next 5 years, over the next 7 years. And all of a sudden is like, that's an incredible opportunity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, I would have to pay an accountant to do that, you know, previously in all likelihood.
Yeah.
So it's just, there's just so many use cases. I mean, that it is exciting.
That's awesome. Well, Justin, last question. UAC, what's been the benefit to you and Michelle, and why have you been a part of it?
Yeah, I mean, I just got a text from Josiah. Hey, yo, what's going on? New year. I went up in a hot air balloon with your family, Alan, over Albuquerque. I, go out to dinner and I see Brian, be able to connect with him locally. We were just skiing out in Oregon in December with the Torchio family and, running around with their kids. And it's just connection, man. It's connection. It's community. It's up leveling. I mean, I get to talk to Berger in Iceland, every week, in my accountability group and be around a guy that's been seeing like 1,500 people a week for like 47 years. So like, I'm going to go spend time with him like in March, like it's connection, it's community, it's up leveling, it's program celebrating. It's easy to just charge. But the fact that there's these events, we're cruising in Europe, we're going to New York, like it's planned celebration, which it's easy not to do if it's not scheduled. And so UAC has been really good for us to be like, all right, this is the event we're going. And it's like, because we would easily just keep working.
Right.
That's well said. And the fun thing is, we haven't released these numbers, but we cleared as a group 402 million last year. So it's been neat since we started tracking that in 2020. I think it was around 150 million. And it's fun to catch your energy, Justin, because you just see your evolution from you had a really successful clinic and then 2 clinics and then a gym. And now you're accelerating the acquisition of clinics and real estate. And you see that trajectory. And I know, when we all get around other businesses that are operating on this level, you just can't help but get pulled along. Worst case scenario.
It's super humbling. You think you're doing awesome until you show up to UAC.
Yeah. Well, Justin, it's always a blessing to be with you and around you. And thanks for coming on here and sharing. I know I got something out of that. I'm going to go plug my KPIs right now and do some analysis on my docs immediately. So,
guys, Brian,
thank you.
Alan, thanks so much, guys. Appreciate you guys.
Justin. Have a great one, guys. Take care.
Appreciate
Bye.
Bye now.